What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker here on Best Albums, and today we're back with G Perico.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming through, sir.
Appreciate you having me, man.
Yeah. So G has picked Dub C's The Shadiest One. Came out at top of 98. This is Dub C's first album, and as a solo artist, because of course he had Low Profile, and he had the two albums with the Mad Circle, then West Side Connection, and then The Shadiest One. So for you, G, growing up in LA and listening to Dub from Low Profile, hearing all these songs over the years, like what did you think you were going to be getting from a Dub C solo album?
At the time when that shit came out, I was oblivious to everything. So, you know, I didn't have no expectations about music. I wasn't even really listening to shit. But when I got up on it though, the shit was dope as fuck. I got up on that West Side Connection, and then you know the Low Profile paid dudes used to hear that shit on the radio. They still play that shit on the radio.
Still play, because it's amazing.
All the time.
Yeah.
Dub C tight, but The Shadiest One though, like for me just studying his catalog, to me that's his best album.
Okay.
And on The Shadiest One, like he doing the shit that I do right now. You know what I'm saying? He was like just saying the current LA, like what the lifestyle was like back then, you know what I'm saying? That how niggas was hustling, jacking, banging, fucking with bitches.
So then speaking about the females, you got the Call It What You Want song where, you know, he's following his girl and then there's that twist at the end. So what did you think when you were hearing that song?
Man, I was just like pretty much like sitting there listening to the story and you know, I thought she was gonna get caught with another dude, maybe one of his homies or something like that. And it was actually one of her homegirls. So, you know, that was funny. And it was just like a tight twist. And it's actually like reality, you know what I mean? Cause you know, shit like that be happening more than it don't happen, you know what I'm saying? So I think just everything about that project, man, was just crazy.
And then he had the It's All Bad record where he's talking about the bank robbery.
Yeah.
And like that one, I remember I told Dub when I met with him and talked to him about this project and interviewed him for Rap Pages back in the day for my man Alan Gordon. Shout out Alan. But I remember I told him that the thing is like it wasn't as prominent to see like a record where something, you know, usually was do get away.
Right.
And then that one, it all goes bad for him, and it's like all bad, like the title said.
That's reality too, because like all my people, like my elders and shit, like people that I knew that was from the '90s era, all them niggas was robbing banks, and then a lot of them niggas got caught. So you know, like I talk about flocking right now, like that's the shit that's going on right now, what niggas do. But back then, everybody was robbing banks and shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's just like the parallels, like. And then he from like around the hundreds, you know what I'm saying? Imperial, you know what I mean? I'm off Imperial on the east side, so it's like he grew up 5 minutes away from where I grew up at and shit, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like
111th and Western, right?
Yeah, I can't help but to fuck with it, you know what I mean?
Right. And then obviously he had the big songs with the Just Clownin and Cheddar. So those were two of the bigger singles that they put out and everything on the record. So with those two songs, what did you like about each one?
Them two songs was dope as fuck, Cheddar, but you know, they was like radio joints. I was like more into the album cuts, like House Party.
Yeah, fucking with the House Party.
Rich Rollin', motherfucking Keep Hustling.
Right. And on a lot of those records, CJ Mack was on a lot of the albums.
CJ Mack, yeah.
So for you, what did...
And Don't Fuck With It, Niggas Cash.
Right.
Like, them was like cold joints, like word for word, like just explaining shit to the T, and that shit was just so great, and that's, you know, what I try to do, so.
And he also had the autobiography. We had mentioned the Low Profile earlier, and I thought it was cool because he had such success with West Side Connection, and this was his biggest project as a solo artist. First one as a solo artist, but first one where he was really in the front. Because even with the Mad Circle, Coolio, you know, was on a lot of the songs from Ain't a Damn Thing Changed. And, you know, to hear the autobiography as a longtime fan of his, I thought it was cool how he brought that back with Low Profile and, you know, gave a shout out to his lineage, kind of.
Right.
And then two, like you were saying, in addition to CJ Mack, you know, Cube was on there. He had the record with 40 and
Keep Hustling.
Keep Hustling with 40 and Too Short on there too. So I thought it was a great way to kind of introduce him on a big scale, but then show him kind of like what you do on a new record with America. He was always, to me, like the thinking man gangster.
Right.
Like he had, like Cube was tell stories, but Cube's stories were a little different, and Dub C's, I think, were still more like street.
Yeah.
And I think that the Shadiest One, like, is a great example of that, like the whole record.
Yeah, the Shadiest One is like, for by far, his best fucking project to me. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got their own opinion, you know what I mean? But, you know, to me, that was definitely like his greatest project as far as being put together and just explaining that to what's going on out here, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think too, like sonically, especially with some of the singles, but then when you get to the album tracks, I think it had a good blend of like the funk and the slap with the hard, you know, it was also like really hard throughout, regardless of what he was rapping about, and it brought that energy to what was going on in 97, 98 in LA, you know? So I thought that was great too. So looking back, what do you think makes it a best album, like rap-wise?
Just the way he put it together, like the lyrics, the beats, the timing on everything, the stories. Like you could listen to that shit and you could listen to it with your eyes closed and just, that's the video right there in your head. Like he's basically explaining the whole shit to you, so you could close your eyes and just visualize the whole shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? From like CJ Mack doing 110 on the 110, that's explosive. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then, you know, I'm like right there off the bottom 110, you know what I'm saying? And that's pretty much an exit that I frequent. Slauson or Century, you know what I'm saying? They're my exits, you know what I mean? And like the shit just like, I never heard no shit like it prior to that, you know what I'm saying?
And like what for you?
Cause around the time like I started listening to music, it was like Cash Money and shit. Like actually getting my own shit, like Cash Money and shit, Nelly and all that. You know what I mean? So I was a little late on that. So when I heard it, I'm like, oh shit, this nigga is talking to us. You know what I mean?
And that's what I was gonna say. As I remember being in LA at the time, like there had always been, but it seemed like this album in particular had like a lot of pride for people. Because Dub, like you said, was naming the intersections. People had done it before, of course, but I think it was like Dub had seen Platinum with West Side Connection, and this is his first go back, you know, coming back out, and he's still like keeping it that way to, you know, to where the streets are really represented, and he's talking about like hood tales in a way that a lot of people, I think, once they get to that platinum level, they kind of get away from.
Right, and it haven't really been, that's the thing too, that's my whole thing. Like, damn, when I reach success, like, fuck, am I still going? Because everybody, like, first shit is, like, dope as fuck, you know what I mean? And then, you know, it just get to getting for the money, I guess. But that's another story, you know what I mean? But nigga, that shit was incredible, man. The Shadiest One, you know what I mean? Just word for word, like, I understood it, cause that's what I was seeing, like niggas in Cutlasses, and, you know, from fucking Cutlasses to Mercedes Benzes, and then my homies like fucking actually having Sherm and shit and selling that shit. He was telling stories about that, and then my homies, like older homies, getting out the pen from doing them 10 years from doing a bank robbery in fucking 95, 94, you know what I'm saying? Right. So just hearing stories like that and then listening to that, like it just tied in. So I'm like, man, this nigga's a fucking genius for the city.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Dub C, man, I do think he's probably one of the most underrated rappers of all time, because from, even with the Rhyme Syndicate Coming Through record all the way up to the Shadiest One, and since that, like he's just had just a lot of amazing material, and he's really able to tell these stories in a well-rounded perspective that show the highs and the lows of the streets. It's not just all celebration. He's like really bringing you into it in a way that's, you know, real and very powerful. And he does a great job on the Shadiest One. So There it is, y'all. I'm Soren Baker. G Perico, Dub C, The Shadiest One, best albums.